Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we are going to be discussing a different sort of topic than what I normally cover. And that is going to be, of course, the illustrious DarksydePhil. But rather than just kind of give you a compilation and give general commentary as I watch clips from Phil, I would actually like to provide some insight and something I noticed as I was watching the interview that he had with Side Scrolling Podcast the other day. You know me, I don't like to waste time. Let's go ahead and get right into the topic. So for those of you who are not aware of DSP or who he is or what he does, he's basically one of the original YouTubers that did gameplay videos and would do full gameplay walkthroughs of games. However, even though that was what he started with for popularity, that is nowhere near what gained him his notoriety. In fact, there are quite a few different specific scenarios that gained him such notoriety, specifically his massive amount of begging for money online.
I just care about money. I just can't help it. I'm so just enveloped in greed and money. I need money. I need money. It looks like we barely even had 300 on stream. Wow. I don't know what's going on. Listen, here's the bottom line, and I'm tired of it now. No more excuses, all right? Because the bottom line is people are like, Phil's not engaged in his commentary, and Phil's commentary is boring, and that's why people don't want to watch the playthroughs of the streams. I'm loving this game, I'm voice acting, I'm engaged, I'm commentating on everything that's going on actively.
As well as getting caught with the camera turned on, we'll say.
Oh, the camera's on. The camera's been on the whole time, huh? I don't even know. Hello.
Essentially what started off as a hobby and a passion project for DSP very quickly rolled and snowballed into something that is much bigger than he could ever possibly control. And now here we are 12 plus years later, and he doesn't seem to have learned from many of the mistakes and shortcomings of his long career on YouTube. So with that background out of the way, I'm going to kind of move forward assuming that you know who Phil is, that you've done some kind of research, or that you're at least caught up to current events. If you are not caught up to current events, I would recommend you go and watch a number of different videos compiling the timeline of DSP and his numerous sagas that tend to follow him. So if you've ever really watched one of Phil's streams, aside from just the videos that people like Duty, Snort Burnell, and many others, he actually tries to shut down a lot of the allegations, or for him, I suppose they're allegations. For us, at this point, it's kind of just a matter of fact, whereas he just hasn't necessarily confirmed it. But the reason that I bring up that he constantly tries to save face on his own streams are because he has followers, a very small amount, but he does have a dedicated fan base that will vouch for him, and he feels that he needs to basically justify to them everything he does. And one of the reasons that I bring this up is because when he went on the Side Scrollers podcast with Stuttering Craig, it was a 5-hour interview basically debunking and going through all these different things. And yes, Phil was allowed to, spew some of his random nonsense that he does, but he was questioned and quite frankly was destroyed publicly on a lot of different levels. Specifically the fact that he was constantly contradicting himself while on the podcast, which made his attempt at trying to save face look that much more pathetic. Now, ever since I started watching DSP, or rather started following who he is and what he does, it became pretty apparent to me that Phil has been in an echo chamber of his own making for so long. And I really liked the fact that as I was watching this interview, everybody in attendance for this interview besides Phil seemed to acknowledge that Phil has had a lack of awareness because he has stayed glued to his seat for so long. And, it may seem like I'm joking, but I'm actually not. Phil himself says he works 6 days a week, essentially what is a close to 9-10 hour day, roughly, it sounds like. I mean, he is literally doing the same thing every day, except for one day out of the week, and expecting these results. Now, we hear a lot about the word echo chamber, but I want to kind of break down what that means and how it applies to Phil in this specific scenario. The basic definition of an echo chamber is surrounding yourself with yes men, or putting yourself in a bubble with all of your beliefs, the things that you know, the things that you believe to be true, the things that you think and know are true, and then essentially having that be the sole existence, having blinders on, putting sunshades on that don't allow you to see any other viewpoints, or if you do see other viewpoints, you know that you're still going to essentially come back to your own viewpoints and nothing will change. One of the hardest things to do is to let somebody know or to convince somebody that they are living in an echo chamber, because it's something that's very personal and it's something that is very ingrained in that person's personality. So when somebody like Phil, who's been doing this shtick, this song and dance of playing games and people give him money for 10 plus years, he is so ingrained, it's almost muscle memory at this point, for people to give him money because he gives them gameplay in return. But what he lacks is the self-awareness and the ability, not even the self-awareness, but the ability to look outside of his office, to look outside of the internet space. He is the perfect example of chronically online, being unable to accept the change and to move with it.
Then tonight, like I said, I'm excited for the multiplayer Modern Warfare 2. I liked it last week. However, I'll be honest, if you could show up, engage, and support that stream, because all my other streams seem to be doing good. But whenever I do a random one-off stream of something like a multiplayer stream, it seems like sometimes it doesn't get that level of engagement or support that a normal stream would. Now, I'll just get this out of the way now. We can talk about it now and get it out of the way. Last 2 days of the month, last 2 days for you to become a member and have it count towards our monthly goal, the reward of which is a Retro Games Challenge Marathon in March. I've been talking about this literally every day this month. Like, all that happened this month, quite frankly, was a lot of people's memberships expired, and then it just kind of stagnated. Now, maybe that's because I put a lot of focus into the Reacts channel, for which we got 60 new members this month. Definitely could be a case, okay? But, yeah, it's a little disheartening when, you know, I'm trying to think of new ideas, new goals and things for you guys, new motivations, and I can't really seem to inspire you to become a member. But, you know, diversifying support is important. You know, the memberships are very important, because if someone becomes a member, there's a chance they may say, hey, I really like this, I want to continue to be a member. And that's ongoing support then you can trust.
For many of us, change is not easy, nor is it something we particularly like, but it is a part of life, and many of us have to take it head on and as it comes. And when it's time to deal with a change that seems to be too much, it's important to seek help or to find different outlets and different avenues to explore ways that that change can be adapted. But one of the biggest shortcomings of Phil is Phil has relied on one specific way of doing things for so long that he's been unwilling to change. A big portion of that actually comes because he finds blaming other people, such as his detractors or the people who started the "this is how you don't play." He finds a way to make the narrative that it's these people's problems and it's all of these people's things that they do that create him, that he is a result. In many ways, actually, if you will, it's kind of as if there's that idea that the Joker would not exist without Batman, and it's kind of that duality and that moral question of, is the reason that this evil or that this thing persists because of this immovable object? And like Phil has stated on multiple occasions, he is rock solid on never changing, always being consistent, always being there, always looking to take the challenge head on. However, perhaps he should look at himself to make this process easier, rather than going after all of the detractors and all of the people who talk negatively on him. So many people would not talk negatively about him if some of that information were not even a tiny bit true. He likes to blame the start of the trolling on This Is How You Don't Play, but if anything was learned from This Is How You Don't Play, it's that Phil doesn't have thick skin.
The beginning and the end of all of that for me. That video series alone turned me from being a prominent, respected content creator into a joke on the internet. And after that, that's when all the different declines and things started happening. It all just kind of went poof. Before This Is How You Don't Play, I was the underdog. I was the one who everyone liked. Everyone was rooting for me. Everyone liked me. 1,000,000%. This Is How You Don't Play is the origin of that hatred. We're laughing at Phil at his expense. We don't care if it hurts him, his business, or anything personally, as long as we get to make fun of him. That's when everything changed.
Phil can dish it out, but Phil can't take it. And that's something that inspired a lot of people to start messing with him. Because much as the trolls are with Wings of Redemption and Boogie2988, it's a never-ending cycle of if you feed the trolls, they have ammo. And Phil continuously feeds them because he doesn't know how to have that off switch. The dangers of creating a space for yourself, or specifically doing the same thing over and over and over again, but have that thing that you can repeatedly do be toxic for your mental health or for those around you, is it creates this dichotomy and this switch between you and the rest of the world. That echo chamber that Phil has built up for himself has created a social disconnect with other people. And it's starting to harm not only his relationships with other YouTubers or content creators, but even his fan base. And in many ways, many of the detractors that were his original fans are the reason they are detractors now, because Phil has allowed himself to remain in that echo chamber. Now, although there are many reasons to make fun of Phil, and there are so many opportunities and very funny things that we could go on about Phil for honestly hours, I really want this to be a constructive criticism and be kind of an introspection or a reflection of all of the points in which Phil could turn around. And a lot of this for me personally came from listening to the Side Scrollers podcast and just hearing him talk with somebody else who's making sense. In him bringing up the points that don't, it opened a window for me to reflect on myself and the different ways in which it's dangerous to allow ourselves to become too ingrained into things we believe and not allow ourselves to be open to different ideas and opinions. Even though Phil does seemingly deserve a lot of the hate and a lot of the negativity he receives, I still want to end this video on a positive note. There's a chance he can come back from this, but the problem is he has to be willing to take this step. And much like they talked about both in the debriefing afterwards of the podcast and even during it to some extent, he has to be able to take that step. It is solely on Phil to change. But the rest of us, thankfully, can learn from his mistakes and be and grow to be better people. So here it is, at the end of the video. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my content. As always, I hope if you like this video that you'll consider leaving a like, and if you didn't, feel free to leave a dislike. No harm, no foul. Also, if you like the content I produce, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video. I hope you all stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a great day.
So let's recap this situation. I did nothing wrong.